Hey everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Dr. Brianna Whiteside, and on this channel we talk about the kingdom and we talk about wealth. And so in this installment of Recession Millionaires, I want to talk about 6 biblical principles that will help you build wealth in uncertain economic times. Now y'all know a recession is upon us, but you don't have to participate in that recession. You can actually rise above it and become a recession millionaire. And I so believe that for myself. And I hope that you believe that for yourself. So if that is your jam, please go ahead and like the video already so we can get it started, the algorithm, and stick around. All right, y'all. So today's money chat is actually coming from Ecclesiastes 11, verse 1 through 6. And if you're reading in the NIV like I do, the subtitle will say invest in many ventures. So I'm going to read it and then we're going to go ahead and break it down line by line. So it says, ship your grain across the sea. After many days, you may receive a return. Invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. If clouds are full of water, they pour rain on the earth. Whether a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where it falls, there it will lie. Whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap. As you do not know the path of the wind, or how the body is formed in a mother's womb, so you cannot understand the work of God, the maker of all things. Sow your seed in the morning, and at evening let your hands not be idle. For you do not know which will succeed, whether this or that or both will do equally well. So y'all know I am on a journey to build financial freedom, and I'm taking you along on this journey. And I think that a lot of Christians are behind financially, unfortunately, just due to messaging and due to things we may have heard but not necessarily understood that we have come into agreement with. And so I believe that the Bible is the Word of God. It also holds principles and clues on how we're able to live the abundant life. And Ecclesiastes kind of lays that out for us. So let's talk about the first thing you're going to want to do. The first thing that Ecclesiastes tells you to do is to take strategic risk. This is why I harp so much on strategy. You have to take strategic risk. It says, verse 1, ship your grain across the sea. After many days, you may receive a return. So what's your principle here? Is be willing to send your resources out, even when you can't guarantee the outcome. You have to understand that building wealth requires calculated risk and patience. So what's your takeaway? Number 1, take strategic risks. The second thing that Ecclesiastes teaches us is to diversify your investments, and that is in verse 2. It says, invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. Right? So we need to understand that this principle here is telling us don't put all your financial hope in one stream. A lot of us do that in our jobs. All of our financial hope is in one stream. But it says multiple ventures will help you weather the unexpected storm. So you have to diversify your investments. You can't hyper depend on one system, because what are you going to do when that system fails you? You're going to panic, right? So if we take the wisdom from the Bible, which I believe we should do, you must understand that putting all your financial hope in one stream is disastrous. The third principle that we need to consider is understanding the limits of control. We have to understand the limits of control. And this is ultimately in verse 3. It says, if the clouds are full of water, they pour rain on the earth. Whether a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where it falls, there it will lie. We need to understand that some outcomes are inevitable or outside of our control. We can't be control freaks as we're trying to build wealth, right? So we have to begin to understand and learn how to accept what you can't change and focus on what you can influence. So many people focus on I want to control this, but I can't control it. And then we begin to sit on our hands. No. If you can't control something, you need to focus on what you can influence. Life is going to life. Things are going to happen, but you can't fall apart when things begin to happen, especially as you're on this wealth building journey. The fourth takeaway from Ecclesiastes is to not wait for perfect conditions. And this is where a lot of people cause their lives to stutter. You're waiting for a perfect condition. And this is in verse 4. It says, whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap. Friends, you need to understand that waiting for ideal circumstances will lead you to inaction. It will. You must begin to act in faith and not in fear. It's not ever going to be a perfect time for you to build wealth. It's never going to be a perfect time for you to obey God. It's never going to be a perfect time for you to bet on yourself. It's never going to happen. So you have to have the tenacity and the audacity to do it anyway. To do it in faith and not in fear. To not say, oh, I got to wait for a better time. That time ain't coming. It's not coming. But what is coming is you getting older. What is coming is you getting further away from the goal. That is what's guaranteed to come. Okay, so I don't want you to get caught up in the perfect conditions, right? Oh, I got to wait. No, you didn't wait it long enough. You didn't wait it long enough. It's time for you to act. The fifth thing that I want us to consider is trusting the mystery of God's work. And this is in verse 5. Trusting the mystery in God's work. Verse 5 says, as you do not know the path of the wind or how the human body is formed in a mother's womb, so you cannot understand the work of God, the maker of all things. One thing we need to take into consideration, I had to do this when I first started out, is that you don't have to understand everything in order to move forward. I'm going to repeat that. You don't have to understand everything in order to move forward, because God's processes often unfold in ways that we can't predict. We can't predict it. So as a result of you trying to predict it, you have paralysis by analysis. That causes you to be inactive. That causes you to stay longer than where you were supposed to be. And it causes you to be frustrated. Ultimately, we have to understand that though we can't chart out the next 5 years of our lives, even the next step sometimes, we are required to take the step that is immediately in front of us. Don't try to be God in this situation. Only thing you're required to do is your part. So we have to trust the mystery of God's work. And last but not least, the sixth takeaway from the Ecclesiastes scripture is to stay diligent and consistent. And this is in verse 6. It says, sow your seed in the morning, and at evening let your hands not be idle. For you do not know which will succeed, whether this or that, or whether both will do equally well. This teaches us that we have to keep working across different times and seasons, right? Sometimes we can't pinpoint what will succeed. I know we want to privilege certain things, but the Bible is clear. You don't know which will succeed, right? But if you stay consistent, something will lead you to the path you want to be on. Something will give you the results. But what we end up doing is only focusing on one thing and like, oh, it has to hit, it has to hit. It may not be the season for it to hit, but it may be the season for the next thing to hit that you won't even touch. I know this to be true in my own life. Recently, I asked God for a strategy. I was just saying, I wanted to reach my $10,000 goal by the end of May. And I was like, YouTube ain't getting it. My content isn't getting pushed out. People aren't watching what you're giving me. So I need a different content strategy for a different platform. And he gave me the strategy for TikTok. Within a few days, that strategy hit. Am I still doing YouTube? You watching me right now. But am I also focusing a little bit more on TikTok? Yeah. Why? Because this one is succeeding. Why would I neglect the thing that's succeeding and trying to continue to favor the thing that is not succeeding right now? It's never going to happen. Now, because I'm consistent and because I believe in completing works, I am still showing up on YouTube. But TikTok is paying me pretty well. Pretty well. And so I say that to say I wasn't sure which one was going to hit. Something had to hit. It just so happened that TikTok hit, and started hitting big. Over here, I got the audience. I don't have the views. It's not hitting. Okay, cool. I don't have to hyper focus on that. I'm being obedient. I'm doing my part, but this thing's hitting and I'm going to be over here. You see what I'm saying? And so if you want to succeed, if you want to produce wealth, the Bible is full of strategies and principles that you can use. So let me just give you a quick recap and then we're going to hop off here. Number one, I want you to take strategic risks. Number 2, I want you to diversify your investments. Number 3, I want you to understand the limits of control. Number 4, I want you not to wait for perfect conditions. Number 5, I want you to trust the mystery of God's work. And number 6, I want you to stay diligent and consistent. All right. If you put these principles to work, you are guaranteed a return on your investment. I hope this has helped you. I hope you've learned something. Please like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and leave me a comment if you see fit. Be sure to also look in the description for any resources that you may need. I'll see y'all soon in another installment of Recession Millionaires. Bye, y'all.